I have a bit of a presentation on P.E.D.A loops. P.E.D.A loops in UVS. I'm really proud of this Tam talk, and it's a subject that I know a lot about, and it really is going to get you into my brain when it comes to how I do a lot of things inside of UniVersus. And so let's talk about it. So the overview for this video is simple. What is P.E.D.A, right? P.E.D.A. P.E.D.A and deck building, and then P.E.D.A and gameplay. And we're gonna tackle each of those as we move forwards. So the first question is, what is P.E.D.A? And I've talked about this on the channel before, and so for some of you who do know, will be understanding. P.E.D.A is how you and your brain view and understand the entire world. You are doing this all the time. You are constantly running through a P.E.D.A loop over and over and over and over and over again. You do this about everything, about literally everything, whether it is subconsciously or what I am hoping to have you do it consciously. This is a concept that I learned as a martial artist in order to better prepare yourself for self-defense aspect. It is one of the main ideas when it comes to doing one of my main martial arts, Hapkido, is understanding this this idea of using your P.E.D.A loops efficiently. And what P.E.D.A is, quite frankly, is the idea of perceiving, evaluating, deciding, and then acting. And you do this about everything in order. Perceive, evaluate, decide, act. Perceive, evaluate, decide, act. Perceive, evaluate, decide, act. And you do this loop over and over and over and over. And so what I want to do is I want to give like a brief understanding, a brief explanation of like what each one is. So perceive, that is the idea of understanding that any information exists. Just being able to perceive that it exists. I don't know what it is, but I know that it's there. I know that we'll use my microphone. There's a thing in front of me. It exists. I don't know anything about it. I will evaluate it. It is a microphone. I can now make I can understand the fact that this is a microphone. I can decide what I want to do with this thing, which is at this point, I'm going to talk into it, act, I open my mouth, I talk. And then from here, I go back to that perception. It's still here. Right? If it has left, my perception has changed. It is no longer there, right? And then evaluate, I need to go grab it back and decide, I need to, and then act. And you do this over and 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 over again. And so much so that you are subconsciously doing it right now. You are doing it as we are on this thing. You are perceiving that the video screen is on your computer or your phone. You are evaluating the words that are coming out of my mouth. You are deciding whether these words are impactful or not, and you're acting by going either or It's your choice, right? And there's your P.E.D.A loop. And so what I want to do is I want to talk about deck building. And so this is the overall idea when it comes to deck building, or at least what I do when it comes to deck building, is I have these 5 steps that I do it in. I have the initial idea of the deck, whether that be I want to make a deck around this character. Okay, there's my idea. Or I have a cool tactic that I want to utilize in a deck. What character should I pick? Or I have a bunch of these cool pieces that I want to put together as some sort of strategy, or a singular card that I want to abuse or something. There's your idea. The execution of deck building is making your list. Is taking the idea that you have and forming it into a pile of cards to then play the game. And testing is that playing of the game. We're testing said idea. From there we have the results of the test, and then revisions to the first 3 points. The idea, do I need to revise the idea? Do I need to revise the execution or the deck building itself? Or do I need to revise how I am testing? And so this is what you should be doing. This is what I do whenever it comes to deck building. And everybody has their own strengths when it comes to the idea of deck building. Of am I good at the idea stage, right? Which truthfully, I'm not. It's a weakness that I have. I'm not very good at coming up with the initial idea, But I do think I'm pretty okay at the execution, hence deck doctors. I don't want to come up with the initial 60 cards, but if you bring me 60 cards, I'm good at messing with them. And then, as you guys have all seen on the grind, I'm very bad at the testing parts. And so what we're going to do is I want to talk about how you can use your P.E.D.A loop and how you do use your P.E.D.A loop inside of the execution or the actual deck building, the accumulation of cards aspect of deck building. And so that is quite literally, the first thing you do is you have to make a list of cards. My number one gripe with UVS Ultra is they don't have a maybe option. Whenever I click on a card and I'm trying to put it into a deck, I can put it in my main board or I can put it in my sideboard. I want to be able to put it in a third mysterious category called my maybe category, where I am here to, this is a big, huge list of cards that I want. From there, I take that big, long list and I take a closer look at what I have put in. This is where I get to look at the abilities, and I get to look at the difficulties and the block zones, and I understand, okay, these are how my puzzle pieces fit in together. From there, I decide, do I want more of these puzzle pieces, or do I keep them as they are, or do I cut them, right? And then from here, I click the button and I decide, yes, I want more, or no, I want to cut them, right? And if you couldn't tell, that was just a P.E.D.A loop. Perceive. I made a list of cards. These are the ones that exist. I can perceive them. Evaluate. What do the cards do? Decide. Do I want more? Do I want less? Act. I click the button. And so this is what I do over and over and over and over and over again. I am constantly doing my P.E.D.A loops as I make decks of I make a list and I will take a closer look. I will keep or cut. I will click the button to decide about it, and then I go all the way back up to the top and I go, hey, I actually want to put this card in. I missed this one. Let's make a better list of cards. And then we take a closer look. Actually, it should come back out. And then, oh, there's another cool card I want to put in. Okay, what does it do in my puzzle? This card's really cool with this other card. I actually want 3 of it, and so I'll put in more. And you can see the application of the idea of this P.E.D.A loop going. So that's deck building, and that's truthfully, I mean, KitKat says it right in chat. A damn talk on how to do your own deck docs. You don't have to pay for them. Yeah, I mean, this is it, right? But what I want to do is I want to give you this knowledge because I want you to understand that the idea of P.E.D.A loops are not just for gameplay. It's not just for martial arts. It is for literally every aspect of your life, of anything that you do, right? Literally anything. You play video games, you're doing a P.E.D.A loop. We'll continue. So this is my favorite. This is one of my favorite screenshots of UniVersus, and this is such a horror story when it comes to UniVersus. This is at the HLC, where we see Travis here on the right playing his Hawks deck, and he has 24 foundations on his board. 24 foundations, and this is such a horror story to like screenshot and send to somebody and be like, what do you do next? It's such a very funny picture to me. And so what I want to do is I want to break it down. So let's talk enhances, right? Big shout outs. I'm rebranding my channel to Let's Talk Enhances now. So as we are looking at enhances, here's the way that I look through my enhances, right? What cards are options for me to play? Obviously, there are a ton of cards that we see, some that are face down, some that are only responses, some that have forms on them, so on and so forth. From there, I see that I have a pile of things. I ask myself, which ability should I play? What's the enhance that I want to do? And I have to look through and I have to pick one of them, and I go, this is the best one, and then I click that button. I say, this is the enhance that I'm going to play, and then I pass it back to my opponent. If you couldn't tell, it's just the P.E.D.A loop again. It's just P.E.D.A, right? I'm explaining a thing that you guys already know, but I'm putting it out in the ether so you know. What are my options? I'm perceiving the cards. I evaluate which is the ability that I should play. I decide this one's the best. Action. I press the enhance button. And you're saying, Tam, this makes total sense, but I'm positive, because I do it myself, that you guys mess up these steps when you are playing the game. And this is where the game gets really hard, is understanding these P.E.D.A loops. What cards are my options? How many times have you looked and go, I didn't play that enhanced because I didn't see that card? You messed up your perception. You forgot the card existed. It was gone from your perception. Evaluate. Which of these abilities should I play? Just like valuing or overvaluing, undervaluing, perfect valuing what it is you're supposed to. Deciding, this is the one that I'm supposed to play. And then action. How many times have you said, this is the one that I'm supposed to play? And then I do a little bit more evaluating, and then I go, I'll press this enhance over here. And you go, I had a game plan, and I was supposed to stick to it, and I just didn't stick to it because I'm silly, because I'm a goober. It happens. It happens. And that is you showcasing that you have a bad P.E.D.A loop. And I'm using the royal you because I'm positive you can watch in every game that I have played this week. My P.E.D.A loops have also been bad at some point throughout those games. So here's the big thing about our game is your rival also has cards too. And so when we take and we look at this, we also have to, when I'm doing my P.E.D.A loop of what cards are my options, I also have to look at what cards are their options and which ability should I play. I go, which ability are they gonna play? And then I go, this is my best ability. I look at them and go, this is their best ability. And then I click my button. I go, okay, what button are you gonna click? And we do that, I don't know, 1,000 times throughout a game. 1,000 times just on a singular enhanced step of I play one, you play one, I play, you play one, right? It's crazy. It's crazy. And your P.E.D.A loop also happens throughout every aspect of our game. I review cards. I've got cards in my hand. And I go, perceive. These are the cards that exist in my hand. Evaluate. Which is the best card? I have to pick one of these cards to review. Decide. It's this one. Act. I put it in my discard pile. I go back. Perceive. I no longer can review. Act. I'll move on. Every review that you have, every form or a card you play out of your hand is a P.E.D.A loop. Every enhance that you play, every response that you play, every block that you play, and this goes for everything that your rival plays as well. When I say that UniVersus is a very hard game, this is where its toughness comes from. This is where its difficulty in the game comes from. And we also have, in the last one, I didn't even talk about it, all the fakes. When am I supposed to chump block? When am I supposed to press enhances that make my opponent think that something is going to happen? I'll get this thing -3 speed. Oh man, if he gives it -3 speed, my perceive, he played an enhance. Evaluate, it was -3 speed. What does that mean? He could possibly block it? Decide. I'm not going to damage pump. Act. I'll pass my enhance. Go back to the opponent. Perceive. He didn't damage pump it. He did play an enhance. Evaluate. If he knows that I'm not going to block, blah, 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 decide, I'll also pass. I'll choose not to block. You didn't get the damage pump off because of us playing out fakes. And that was a P.E.D.A loop that we just did as well. It's just P.E.D.A over and over and over again. And this is where the game is tough. It's where the game is hard. And I think I might have messed up this slide. Oh. These have to be played in order. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, so we talked about P.E.D.A loops in the game. We also have to decide. So not only are all of them like the perceive, if I decide, act, the form, I also have to P.E.D.A loop, taking a step back, of the 6 cards, which one am I supposed to play first, and which one am I supposed to play 6th? And so understanding my P.E.D.A loop of perceive, evaluate, decide, act, which of these cards is supposed to be the first one, which one is supposed to be the last one. And some of these are easier to know than others, but some of them you actually have to take and think. This game is played 99% of it happens in the evaluate phase, which is why our game takes so long, is because we are constantly being flooded with new information. Things change on our board all the time because we are polite kids and we take turns on our enhances. I play an enhance. I'm going through my P.E.D.A loop. I play my enhance, and then I ship it back to you, and then you go, whew, he played an enhance, which means all of the information changed. I need to re-perceive, re-evaluate, redecide, react to either do something or do nothing, and then I'll ship it back over. And then me as player A, perceive, evaluate, decide, act. Back to you. Perceive, evaluate, decide, act. And we go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm going to say P.E.D.A 100 times. And 99% of our game is played here. And this is where the game is both complex, but also is beautiful. Because this is why the game feels so skill intensive, is because when I evaluate what is happening, I get to make changes, and I get to decide and then act upon upon the new information that I am perceiving, and you get to do the same thing. And so it is who can do their P.E.D.A loops better with the information available to them. How many times have you said that I should not have won that game? I shouldn't have won that game. Well, maybe the reason that you won that game is that you played a better P.E.D.A loop than them, or maybe you won because, you know, checks happen or whatever. But like, the idea of this evaluation being 99% of the game is so important. It's so important. But I do want to, and I didn't put a slide in here because it just occurred to me, that the reason that new players struggle with this is because when 99% of their game happens at the P, they have to perceive this new information, which is why the entire, it was said earlier in chat, mental load idea happens, is because new players can't get over the perception and they get stun locked here, as opposed to us veterans where we get stun locked here, right? They play an enhance and I go, sorry, I have to think. This is me getting stuck in the evaluation phase, not the perception phase. New players get stuck in perception and then have to still travel through evaluation, decide, and then act. So all of this said, how do you get better at your P.E.D.A loop? Well, the answer, simply, is that's what next week's TAM Talk is about. This week's TAM Talk was exclusive about getting you to understand how P.E.D.A loops work, because that is how I'm going to be communicating when it comes to next week's TAM Talk, because I have a series of questions that I need you to ask yourself, and if you don't understand how P.E.D.A loops work, then it all is a mess. So with that said, if you guys have any questions about P.E.D.A loops or the understanding, or if you have ways that you want to relate or so on, leave in the comments of the video down below, or join me over here on Twitch chat like all of these fine people are doing right now. Would love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions when it comes to P.E.D.A loops. With that said, thank you much for watching this TAM Talk, and as always, I wish you well.